In this coaching session, I'm going to help you with a ton of email marketing stuff. Specifically, we're going to be diving into my account and showing you our best performing emails, our best performing subject lines, things that have worked really well for us. So you can basically swipe what has worked really well for us, so you don't have to do that usual trial and error. Now, of course, there is still a lot of stuff inside the Inner Circle program that works incredibly well, but I'm going to supplement that with the latest stuff of what's working right now and kind of dig into our stuff a lot more than just the theory as well. All right, awesome. So let me check everyone can hear me okay. Awesome. You like a cartoon. The white balance is a little bit out on the camera, just to say the least. I haven't got my setup here, as I just said. I don't have my lighting with me or anything like that, so I'm just kind of here in Mexico City right now, just waiting for Michelle, my wife now, we're married, to get her visa to be able to go back to the US, so just kind of waiting on that. Anyway, let's dig in. So I'm going to show you within my Infusionsoft account, which is now called Keep Max Classic, which is a terrible name, I think, anyway. But I'm going to show you all my stats and everything else. So first and foremost, I'm going to show you the amount of email subscribers we currently have in our list. This is not including every single person that's joined our list since the very beginning, because we delete people every few months, because we don't want to be paying our email service subscription fee at this price when it should actually be this price. We don't want to be paying for people who haven't opened emails in forever and just taking up room on our list. So I've made sure that I'm not going to reveal any sensitive customer info here. This is 127,000 people on our list, all right? And this is since way back in 2008. As I mentioned, we delete a bunch of people who are inactive, who don't respond, and maybe thinking, James, why do you delete people? If you spent money acquiring these people, why do you delete them? Well, the truth is that the more, I guess when you start emailing your list more frequently with broadcast messages, follow-up messages, and so on, the email service providers like Google Mail, Yahoo, and everyone else, any sort of email service provider, they look at your stats. They look to see, what are your open rates and your click-through rates and your engagement from your list, because the spammers who just spam people who've never engaged with them at all, they're the ones who get marked down on their deliverability. So deliverability is very, very important when it comes to email marketing. Basically, if you're sending a bunch of emails to people and nobody's opening, or you have a very low open rate or click-through rate, it's going to negatively affect your marketing campaign overall, because more and more of your emails are going to either end up in the spam folder, or they're going to end up not being delivered at all. Like the email service provider is just going to block it completely and never even deliver the email that you sent to them. So it's very important that you are up to date with list hygiene. Basically, you're opting out people who don't open your stuff in a certain time frame. I use a period of 6 months. And also, if you don't do this, they can, your email service provider, the tool you use to send emails, whether it's ActiveCampaign, Aweber, GetResponse, Infusionsoft, whatever, they can shut you down. And you don't want that to happen, right? You don't want to be shut down one day, you wake up and then you just suddenly lose all of your list. So it's very important that I personally keep on top of my emails, because otherwise bad things can happen, to say the least. And when you're just starting out, this won't be as much of an issue. You only really need to start paying attention to this when you have a list of above 5,000 people and you've been doing this stuff for at least 6 to 12 months. And you'll know, because your open rates and click-through rates will drop significantly. So the stats I'm going to show you within our campaigns may be different to yours. Of course, everyone's different. Everyone varies depending on the niche you're in, depending on the contacts you've acquired and from where you've acquired them from, and how qualified they are, whether they're customers or leads, or they've just opted in for something for free or whatever else, right? It varies massively. And also the time that they've been on your list has a big impact on your results as well. The longer they've been on your list, typically the least responsive they are, the less responsive they are. So it's really important that you keep that in mind. However, so as you can see right there, 127,000 people on our list right now. If we weren't deleting people every so often, we'd probably be up to about 250,000 people or so. But again, it's not about the numbers. I can say that because I've got a fairly large list, but only a small portion of this list is actually active. We only have around 20,000 people. I say only, but 20,000 people isn't really a lot when it comes to the email marketing world. A lot of people have millions of subscribers, right? So 20,000 people who are actually active, and those people are highly responsive to the point where we can promote pretty much anything. They'll pay attention to it, and most of them will buy. And I'll show you what I mean by that shortly as well. So looking at our homepage here, our application Keep actually gives a little summary here of different things that we've done. So the latest one was announcing our community, our Facebook group, right? And this was when we just emailed our entire list and just said, hey, we've got a brand new Facebook group you should join, and go ahead and check it out here, right? So I want to show you the stats of that one and the email itself and how I structured that and how you can structure your emails based upon that one as well. A 1% click-through rate for us is very good. We usually get a 0.5 to 0.7% click-through rate. Again, this is to our entire list. It's not just to the active segment, so it is typically a lot lower. We like to aim for 1% as a good guideline, but again, our list is quite old, right? And we of course segment different emails depending on what they've done or what they haven't done, right? So another follow-up here, 7% open rate, 1% click-through rate. I'm going to show you that's a really cool tip you can do to boost your clicks as well. And then we have this one over here. So we had a 48% open rate and 9% click-through rate. I'm going to show you that one. And this one over here as well, not so, we'll open that as well, why not? So these are the most recent ones. I'm also going to be diving into our templates that we use. We kind of go in a cyclical delivery process, if that makes sense. Like we have a set kind of process of emails we send out every now and again, like a set campaign. So I'll be showing you those as well, right? And I'm not showing you all this stuff to show you our numbers, not just that, but also I'm going to show you how we write emails to get the results that we're looking for in our business, the ones that we're looking for. So first off, we can see over here, right, where do we start? So this one, let me show you the email. So the subject line over here was announcement, introducing the new digital prosperity community. Okay, so what I like to do whenever there's any kind of new thing happening is I like to start my subject line with announcement, and then the thing. Like introducing our new service, introducing a new step-by-step program, introducing blah, blah, blah. Because whenever something is brand new to an audience of some kind, it generates that, wow, what's this? It's like brand new. People love new stuff. And if you were to just say, how to do X, Y, Z, whatever the goal of the product is, it kind of blend in with everything else they're receiving, right? But if you say, an announcement from the company, from you, introducing something brand new, it's like, oh wow. So this type of subject line typically gets us pretty good results. I'm going to move myself over here so you can read everything here. But it just basically starts out with the internet is changing. So I like to start my emails with something that evokes curiosity. And I don't always do this. It does depend on the topic and what I'm going to be emailing people about. But whenever you talk about something that is kind of an announcement, I like to preface that email, the main focus of the email, with something that's like building tension or evoking curiosity. And that's just to get people to continue scrolling through the email and continue reading. So, I go on to say, gone are the days of one-way communication where somebody blasts their email list and hopes for the best. And basically, whenever you're writing emails, as a little side note here, you should always connect with the thoughts people are already having in their head. So don't talk about what you want to talk about. Try and connect what you're wanting to talk about with what they are already thinking. So in my market, I know for sure that people are fed up of being treated as a number, being blasted emails to. It's just kind of like, wow, another promotion, I can't wait to open it, right? So people are fed up of that. And I always make a point of putting something that people are thinking in their heads in every email I send, so it connects with them and they feel like that you're on their level. That makes sense, because when they understand that you are on their level, they're more likely to reach out for help, whether it's buying your stuff or applying for a coaching program or service or anything like that, right? So we talk about, while we've been building solid relationships with our subscribers, customers, and clients since 2008 through our free blog content, programs, and services, we'd like to do better. So to explain this here, I always like to add authority generating statements in our emails as well. So you'll notice that I say since 2008. I could have just said for a long time, blah, blah, blah. But being specific with years like that, if you've been in business a long time, it helps people to kind of realize that you are an authority figure. right? And I'm not saying you should just fill the email with this authority building stuff, otherwise it's going to come across as like you're a bit braggy and that you're a bit of a douchebag. So it's a much better way of doing it when you're talking in a casual way and just sort of having a little side note like, oh, by the way, since 2008 we've been doing this, and then move on. Don't say, since 2008 we've been doing this, and that kind of comes across as like, okay, what are they trying to sell me? And their barrier goes up and their guard goes up, and it's like, oh, okay, what's this, right? So then we go into the main focus of the email. We want to better help you to achieve your goals, and so on. So do you notice so far that there are no big chunky paragraphs? This is a major pitfall that a lot of people fall into. They just write these big these big blocky paragraphs in their emails, and then wonder why nobody's clicking on their links or opening future emails, because people don't want to read essays. People don't want to read like a dissertation when they open their email inbox. They want to have something that's very digestible, very easily digested when they're going through their inbox, right? So I only use very short paragraphs intentionally. I have a qualification with in England it's like A levels, right? It's kind of equivalent to like pre-college in the US of English literature. So I know how to write good essays and to have everything standardized and formatted correctly and so on. But we are not writing an essay for examiners. We are writing emails to connect with people, right? We're trying to connect with people. So if you have a big block of text, like big chunky paragraphs with like 2 or 3 or 4 sentences per paragraph, they're just going to look at that and go, oh, I can't be bothered to read that, that's too much. And they're just going to delete or mark it as unread and come back to it later. So I make a very important point all the time whenever I'm teaching this stuff of having short paragraphs like this, because it just makes it more easily readable, and when they're scrolling down they can skim it a lot easier. They can scan it. People don't often read every single word of your emails unless they know, like, and trust you, which happens over time. But what you want to keep in mind is people should be able to scan your emails as much as possible. And this is especially true on mobile devices. If you imagine all of this text here shrunken down into a very narrow column on a mobile device, these paragraphs, which are very short on desktop, become very long on mobiles. And this is using short paragraphs. If I was using a long, chunky, blocky paragraph, it would just fill the entire screen on a mobile device. And they'd look at that and go, oh, can't be bothered, mark as unread, right? So that's really important. I cannot emphasize that enough, that this is like pivotal to your success. If you don't do this, you probably will struggle to get good open rates and click-through rates, right? The next thing over here is calls to action, right? So you notice here there are 3 links in this email, but all of them go to the same place. And this is intentional, obviously. So I like to think of things logically and emotionally from the prospect's perspective as well. So the first link is always based upon kind of curiosity, right? It's always like, here's the thing, click here to learn more. And you could even say that in the link, click here to learn more. And I'll be showing you some examples of this as well shortly. So I usually say something like, click here for the full details, click here to learn more, or something like that, right? And this is always based on curiosity for the people who are just hyper responders, who just want to get straight in. And I try and do this so I have one link on the screen of a desktop computer or device before they scroll down. Obviously it's very difficult on mobile devices because you only have a limited amount of space on the screen before they scroll down, but I try and do that as much as I can. If you can do it on a mobile device without making it too overly simplistic and like too vague, like, hey, I just got a brand new thing, click here to learn more. That's going to be pointless. You're going to get a bunch of people clicking on the link, not reading the rest of the email, you're going to get terrible results. And we'll talk about that shortly. But you want to preface or pre-sell the thing beyond the link before introducing the link. You don't just want to have a link at the top and then that's it, right? You're going to get a bunch of clicks and people are going to be like, what am I landing on? Why should I pay attention to this? And the whole point of email marketing is not to get traffic to places, it's to get a pre-sold click over to where you want them to go. So a qualified person, a qualified prospect over to somewhere instead of just a prospect, right? Because if you do this, if you do what I'm telling you right now, your results will double or triple or even quintuple or even 10x sometimes, depending on how bad you are previously, right? You will massively increase your results basically when you do this stuff, because a big trend in the email marketing industry I'm not knocking anyone, I'm not going to name any names, but people who sell solo ads do these blind emails. They're just like, hey, I just announced a brand new thing. Click here to learn the full details. See you there. And it's just so vague, and like that could be replaced for anything. Like you could put anything beyond that link and it would make sense when they land on the page. It's so vague and just like so blind, I guess is the word. It's called blind copy. Then they did it on purpose, because then they can rotate different offers when they reach a certain amount of clicks, of people visiting the links, right? All these different solo ads, and I hate that. I hate that style of email marketing, because it's spammy, right? And if you're doing this as a full-time job, as a full-time career, and you want to make above 6 figures a year, that is not the way to go about it. If you want to do this in the long term, sure, you might get very high click-through rates to begin with, but with every email looking exactly the same and being formatted exactly the same with one link and some vague blind copy at the beginning, they're just going to feel like, oh, I've seen this 1,000 times. Every time I click on this, it's for some new newsletter I have to opt into. I'm going to unsubscribe. And that's a big problem in the email marketing world, because these marketers don't realize they're just harming their list and just screwing up their reputation with their people, and they end up in this endless cycle of like, they acquire a bunch of new subscribers, great, but then they just blast them with all of these blind emails, these very vaguely written emails, and then people unsubscribe, and then they have to get new people on the list to replace those they've just lost. So it's this endless cycle of acquiring people and losing people over and over again, and their email lists don't really grow that much, and if they do, it's always with people who are, you know, joining their list in the last 14 days or so, like very recent people. You never really get people who stick around for a long time with that type of business model. So not a great way to go, especially if you're selling high price stuff. All right, you can probably get away with selling stuff below $100. Anything above that, you're going to be very lucky to make any sort of decent income with that type of business model, right? Unless you're selling solo ads, and then you're happy to just continue rinse and repeating your list, which I don't want to do that. I want to set things up in a way for myself and for you guys and girls that can generate returns, you know, today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, in 10 years from now. And without having to think like, oh, my email list is dying, I've got to replace it with 100 new people next week, otherwise I'm going to have a half drop in my income, like I'm going to halve my income next month. I don't want to have you in that situation. It sucks. I've been there in the past trying to do what everyone else is doing in that type of industry, right? So don't fall into that trap, right? Anyway, so we have another link here after some more benefits. So you see here, you know, after you join, there'll be this, and this. So typically this is all about the benefits. So we start off with curiosity and a slight benefit, like here's what it is. And then we have a link for the curiosity clickers. And then after that, we have a few paragraphs about the benefits. And this is not just, it's 14 pages of text, or, you know, this is going to help you to blah, blah, blah. It's the benefits. So the 14 pages, there's 3 videos, it lasts for 3 hours long, or whatever it is. Those are features, and people don't care how many videos there are. They don't care how many pages are in a report or anything like that. They care about benefits, what it's going to do for them. So when you're writing this, think about this from your prospect's perspective. And this is another reason why you should definitely do the stuff inside the inner circle to get to know your market super, super well, like the back of your hand. You should know their age, gender, location, but also the mental stuff as well. Like what they think about when they fall asleep at night, when they are, you know, worried and frustrated about their next steps moving forward in your niche. If it's the weight loss industry, how does it make them feel when they have to go clothes shopping, or when they go to the beach and stuff like that? Those mental things that they're struggling with, right? Any industry has them. So you need to get inside your prospect's head and write about those things in your emails. Like this is going to help you to no longer have to worry when you go clothes shopping, to no longer have to worry that you're being stared at on the beach and stuff like that in the weight loss industry example, right? Just an example to illustrate my point. In my industry, I talk a lot about having freedom to travel, to work from home without having to answer to anybody else, like a boss. To not have to work 40 hours a week, and so on and so on, because that's what my market wants. They want to quit their job a lot of the time, or at least in the early stages, they want to do this stuff part-time, earn enough income to supplement their day job, and then eventually replace their day job with this stuff full-time, and to grow their income beyond what they were earning before from their day job, and so on, usually beyond 6 figures. So we talk a lot about that in our stuff. So we talk about that in our emails, and then after the benefits, we have another link like click here to whatever it is. So click here to grab your copy now. If it's a digital product you want them to buy, or if it's to visit a blog post, it would be click here to check it out on the blog or something like that, right? And then you can usually just have a little bit of a sentence there if you want to, and then sign off. So I usually sign off with my name and then founder and CEO Digital Prosperity, because we use a lot of company branding and people recognize the Digital Prosperity name. And also I'm trying to brand myself as a personal brand alongside the company. That way, you know, when they join our programs and stuff, or when people, you know, join this Inner Circle program, for example, they're not surprised when they get other coaches as well as me help them out. So we have this huge team of experts that a lot of you guys and girls probably don't even realize. You know, we have a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. We have a HR manager, we have a whole team basically that helps our company to help people around the world. So I don't want it to just be myself. It feels a bit arrogant and ignorant of my employees to just say from James Francis rather than the company. So you can do whatever you want there. Of course, if you have a personal branded business, you can just put from your name and that'll be it. You could also put your web address here if you want to, but I don't recommend doing that. It's taking people away from the link you want them to click on. It's giving them a different call to action to click on your website where you don't really want them to do that, right? So then we have a few PSs if you want to. If you think of like a few other things that you could add on to the end. So something that I like to do, this is usually quite a rare thing to do. I don't usually say, you know, this is going out to our entire list and whatever, but I usually have something like if I can only find a way to have 2 links in the main email, I will add a PS. Because I found the sweet spot for my emails going out to our audience is 3 links or 1 link. So if it's a short email, I'll have 1 link. If it's a slightly longer email, I'll have 3 links. I never say never, but in the past, when I've done an email with 2 links, for some reason, don't know why, I never get as high of a click-through rate as I do with 3, okay, or 1. So it's 3 or 1. I never go with 2. I never seem to get a good click-through rate. And maybe it's just the emails I've written or something, but from our testing, 1 or 3 works best, right? So if I can't fit 3 links into here without feeling disjointed or like I'm repeating myself, I will add a PS with something like this. Why are you still reading? Just go here and do the thing I want you to do, right? And you can always make a little joke here as well, like just ease the tension a little bit. You could say, if you don't like it or it smells weird, you can always leave, right? So satisfy your curiosity now. So that's just a little bit of humor. You can add in humor to your emails to just make it more personable, right? So that's that. One thing you might notice at the bottom of every email I send is this little section here. We have a horizontal line, which will typically stop the scroll. And then we have our company logo for that branding thing, which by the way is linked to our website. And then we have a few links over here. So, free training, the Success Accelerator method. Now, I would recommend, if you don't already do this, adding in this little footer section, because it increases the amount of eyeballs on the core focuses of your business, all right? So with every email you send, you should have this kind of footer in the same format, even change the links every so often if you want to, change it every month. But for us, we want to get people on this webinar because it converts really well and gets people into our Ultimate Done For You service, where we build a 6-figure business for the prospect. And they basically just do 1 or 2 very small things, and we do everything else, all the tech stuff and build the business and everything else, right? So we want to have that webinar at the bottom of every email we send, or at least the link to sign up for that webinar, right? And that's bolded. And we have some other links here as well, like secondary focuses of the business, like get coached in this Inner Circle program, about us, results, blog, support. So these are very important links, because when people are joining us for the first time, they want to know who we are, they want to know that we can actually help people and see proof that we can actually help people. And they might want to check out some of our free content on the blog before they go ahead and spend a few $1,000 with us with our higher price stuff and higher value solutions, right? So we offer those little links there just for everyone who's joining us, whatever stage of the journey they're on, they can check out our stuff and kind of see that we actually walk the walk as well as talking the talk, right? And then also social media as well. It's like, you know, if you're not following us on social media, check us out over here, and they can click on any of these to check out our social media accounts, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and so on. Because we found through our testing that when people follow us on social media as well as being on our email list, our results overall go up. like across the board. Our click-through rates go up, our open rates go up, our sales go up, our conversion from a low-priced offer into a high-priced offer, obviously with increased value, goes up as well. So we want to get them onto social media and in as many places as possible, so wherever they are, they see us. It's great for branding, and it just increases our results across the board, right? Is this good for you so far? Let me know in the comments in the good old chat box. If you're watching this in the recording as well, let me know if this is making sense, if this is all good stuff so far. By the way, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments as well in the chat box. So yeah, that's what we do. That's one email, kind of breaking that down for you. So as you can see here, 13% of these people opened. So out of the 120 something thousand people, only 15,000 of them were delivered. Like, we only delivered it to that segment, right? So we still got a pretty high open rate, 13%, which is pretty good for such an old list, and 157 clicks. So we typically get around 100 to 150 clicks per email that we send out as a broadcast. Now that is not a lot whatsoever, yet that is still enough for us to be making over 50k a month in revenue in our business, right?